Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I am Madcapper. Beside me, the incomparable, the one, the only, Fastidious, and this is another video on Raid Shadow Legends. Today we're doing a little bit of a redo. I blame America, frankly, because in Canada, where I am now, everything records fine. In America, I couldn't record his voice, and I think it's probably has something to do with the election. I'm not quite sure what. Or just my ineptitude in checking all my settings. But either way...
If you try hard enough, everything can be Biden or Trump's fault.
That's true. Yeah, I didn't even say which one. Might be both of them. And a little bit of sprinkle of Harris in there. But thankfully...
just a dash of Harris.
Just a sprinkle. Thankfully, Fastidious has agreed to come back, and we're going to re-record probably one of the most important and influential videos you'll watch in your entire raid life. And this is... the epics that are absolute dog poo-poo. They are the worst epics. Do not invest in these epics. They're terrible. They are disheartening. When you pull these, it breaks your soul. And a little bit of foreshadow on my free-to-play account this morning, getting a sacred shard from one of my clan boss chests. I pulled I actually added this champion to the list and took another one off, because I forgot how bad this champion was and how soul-crushing it was to pull until I did it this morning. So, with that said, Fastidious, welcome to the channel.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here. Tell the world a bit about yourself that may not know you from the channel from before. What's going on in your life?
Yeah, Capper just kind of uses and abused me. You know, you want to come on the channel? Oh, whoops, the audio's gone. You want to do it again? Tough, buddy. Let's do it. I'm Fastidious. I actually started making content in Raid back in 2021. I did it for nearly a year, and then I stopped making content, stopped playing Raid, started playing other games, and then like 2 years later, started making content on Watcher Realms, and Raid wanted a piece of that. So I started a new channel making Raid content again. So I've been back for about 2.5 weeks. It's a complete another rip-roaring success. I'm coming for Capper's crown. I do a series called I Built Them So You Don't Have To, but also I'm American. I don't know. We played Watch Realms together. Capper's awesome. I make content. I'm all right. So
there'll be a tariff. There's a tariff on my videos. There's a tariff. I don't know. Awesome.
Yeah. Capper's the reason we're building a wall to the north. Shall we talk about these terrible epics?
We will. Okay. Before we do that, though, top pin comment. You heard it. Fastidious Gaming, second channel, Raid Shadow Legends, has a unique link. If you're looking to start a new account, if you're looking to start another account, use that link. You'll get 13 legendaries, 7 epics. He lives in Utah. I mean, I don't think I'm doxing you by saying the state of Utah. So you might even get an extra wife out of it. I'm not sure. I can't promise anything. But no, you get Ugo, you get Karato, you get who am I missing? Tagore. And
Rector.
And Rector Drath.
Yeah.
All amazing champions, all worth building, unlike the champions we're going to talk about right now. So that's going to be in the pinned comment. Yeah. If you want to do that, that does support him, that does help him with Raid Shadow Legends, with Plarium, and frankly, anytime money leaves Plarium and enters someone else's pocket, even if it's not mine, I'm all for it. So make sure you use that link if you want to start a new account. But with that said, you have the honors, my friend. Tell me, terrible epic champions from yesterday or the last 2 weeks. Back when you used to play before, or last 2 weeks. Yesteryear. Tell me what is on your list for the worst epic champions in Raid Shadow Legends.
Let's go to the Knights Rev.
Hey.
I'm starting where we started the last video, because this guy still is my number one. Mine aren't in order except for him, but I hate this guy so much. Pitiless One, second from the top.
Pitiless One.
I hate him so much. I also got to say, because my kind of bugaboo coming back, I love the design and the aesthetic in Raid, so I was kind of excited to come back because I really like the champions, but I've been blown away by how bad some of the graphics and the renderings are, and it drives me nuts, especially with the OG champs in this game. But Pitiless One, to me, still looks phenomenal. I love this aesthetic. I love this design. He's got the right shine on him, which so many of these characters in this game are missing, but that's all he's got going for him. He looks like a badass, and his kit is dog water. So if you go to the passive over here, each crit is going to give him a little heal. Don't care. If you go to the A2, AoE, each crit's going to boost his turn meter, so he cycles a little fast, and his damage is really bad, so you get to do it even more and get to watch him disappoint you. And then the A1, we got a double hitter with like the smallest little turn meter fill, basically, and then crit rate aura for all battles. Basically, he gets to cycle kind of fast and gets to put out a couple hits, and they're all lame. And I really, really, really don't like him. And it hits me extra hard because he really is about as bad as you could get in this game. Someone you should never dream of pulling, let alone investing in. But he does look great. And that dichotomy of brilliant design and somehow a nice render on an old champion while being this bad makes me feel even worse.
And as we mentioned the first time recording this, he's already been buffed once. So they said, "Ooh, this guy's bad. We better buff him." And this is the result. Absolutely. Like most champions, if you're in faction wars and you need a fifth, yeah, he can be their fifth, but he just isn't doing enough damage. This is something you'll learn very early in this game, unlike most gacha games. The attack, their main stat, means nothing because they have hidden multipliers. So someone with 1,000 attack but a 7 multiplier, this guy's got a 1443, which is relatively high for an epic.
Yeah.
But his multipliers are like 3, 2, 2.4 or something like that. So you think, oh, hey, good. Hey, I got lots of attack. No, terrible. Hits poorly for what he's doing, and absolutely a bad champion.
Yeah, that's always been the weirdest thing about Raid, that they don't tell you the multipliers, which is really commonplace in like every other game in the genre. I don't understand that choice. But yeah, like his kit reads like, oh, so he cycles through his moves really fast and he does that AoE. And if you book it down, it's going to kind of feel like a 2-turn cooldown because it's on a 3-turn cooldown and he's cycling so fast. But who cares? Because the damage sucks.
I agree 100%. So I'm going to stay in the Knights Revenant. This is a new entry, which I had forgotten about. So I had kicked someone off the list. There are some bad champions in this game, and I think this is one of them. Also from the Knights Revenant, and his name is Bergoth the Malformed.
Oh, I pulled him.
Oh, I'm sorry. He is. I hate him. So here's the deal. Whenever his champion's attacked, he heals all allies except this champion by 20% of the damage received. There is literally an epic in another faction that does 50%. So, not even like this guy's 40 because he's got a different kit. It's not even half of what the other guy's doing, and you have to hit him, right? So you see Bergoth on the team, you just don't hit him until everyone else is dead, or you kill him right away and then do it. Like, it's dumb. He's got a 30% chance to provoke base. It does go up to a 60% chance. But this is on an A2 on a 5-turn, 20,000 books to get to 4-turn cooldown. We talk about one. Yeah, when we talk about one on your channel, Tarshan, A1 has a 25% out the gate and only, I think, 4 books to get to a higher number. This guy on an A2 with a cooldown, 30% base? Like, this is embarrassing. And then this here is his A1, and maybe you can call this good. If it's critical hit, which means if he weak hits, he's screwed, which is probably the time he needs the heal. He has a 50-50 chance of placing a 15% continuous heal. Look, 50-50 on an A1 is not a terrible thing. It's an A1. Typically, they have lower percentage chance. But that's not enough for a guy who's only healing the rest of the team by a whopping 20% of the damage received. He's got tons of HP, but this doesn't scale on his HP, which is what it should do.
Yeah.
Instead, it scales off of the damage incoming, which you have to build him with 1 billion HP and hope someone hits him really hard to heal your team. It's ridiculous. It's awful. That's my first one.
Yeah, that actually, you could even see if that was 20% of hit based off this champion's match HP, not the damage. All of a sudden, we got a little character on our hands. I gotta also say, one thing I really like coming back to Raid, in a lot of games I play, they'll have defense-based or HP-based characters, but they don't scale very well. And in Raid, often they do. Bergoth is not one of those examples. He's terrible. There's no damage here. The one good thing I'll say about him is he looks about as bad as he is. So I appreciate that. So kind of the other side of the coin from Pitiless. This looks like you asked AI to make like the most generic looking guy wearing a mask and some knight's armor. And they did a great job of that.
What is the baby of Quasimodo and Friday the 13th guy, Jason? Yeah. Oh, there it is. Good job.
Can you make him 6 colors, but somehow they're all gray?
Yeah, there you go. Can you make a guy look like he's undead but still has scurvy? Perfect, nailed it. All right, so what's your next one on the list?
Next one for me, I think I'm going to do a little pivot from what I did last time, because I one of them I thought was maybe in the end a little slightly too good, but this is not the one I'm pivoting away from. This one we discussed last time. I want to do Defiled Sinner, who I believe I want to say is a demon spawn. Is that correct?
Yes.
Am I right?
No. What? No.
Oh, is it maybe undead?
Undead.
Is he undead?
The same thing.
He's so bad. Where is he?
There he is.
Where's this awful guy? I actually can't find him myself.
He is undead. He's a
You can cut this. There he is. Oh yeah. I'm blind to him. Also, he looks so bad too, which I love. Like he looks like he should be a terrible epic. So at least they got that right. There's nothing good here. Like again, the multipliers are terrible, and he doesn't even have the benefit that Pitiless has, which is a ton of attack. I think they're trying to get away with it with this A2 because he's got enemy max HP, but it's not good. So who cares? Like it doesn't scale well. They don't tell us the multipliers, but it's nothing compared to the other good enemy max HP champions in this game. Basically does one hit and then he does an AoE equal to the enemy max HP if the first hit's a kill. So it's a crazy condition as well. That second hit also isn't going to crit. So it's just kind of like pure damage based off of enemy max HP, normal damage. It's just terrible. Yeah. And I don't really want to talk about him anymore. I mean, there's this, I think about one thing. The A3, they think this move's so good it needs to start on a 6-turn cooldown. So go get your 4 books, get lucky, knock this down to a whopping 5-turn cooldown. This thing hits like the wettest of noodles. And you can get these nice damage boosts. Who cares if you're 2xing the damage, which is only going to happen basically in the spider, I guess. I don't know where you're getting 10 enemies alive that he's hitting. And who cares? It's like a... Sorry.
I was just going to say, for the record, if you're doing either the 3 spider instances, the 2 where you'll get the 100%, they have so much health that 100% of a wet noodle is still the hit of a wet noodle. Like you could do 1,000% because it's not enemy max HP, and this enemy max HP is capped at 15%. Like they tell you already,
15%, and it can't crit.
Terrible.
Yeah, so it's just like a straight pure damage deal. It's not enough. They'll heal back up. I really don't like it. And this is a problem I have with not even just Raid, just games in general. It's like, oh, if these things happen, you double the damage. I'm like, if the damage stinks, you could quadruple it. It doesn't really matter. I'll just give a shout out to Alora in Watcher of Realms, that's her problem. It's like, oh, she double hits now. It's like the single hits weren't even close to cutting it. Who cares if it's double hits?
That's the best meme too, by the way. For those of you who don't watch Watcher of Realms, which I also play, I always defend Alora because I can. Because I have an A5 Alora and I use her in the Gear Raid 3 on the right-hand side because it's just set and forget. But yeah, she is terrible. Defiled Sinner's Alora's better than Defiled Sinner, but not by much.
She is better, yeah. That's true.
This is a terrible, terrible champion, absolutely. All right, so my next one, we're going to go back on script here because I have a thing, and a couple of my champions hit this thing. If you're giving me a champion for free, don't make the free champion, absolute dog shit. And I believe, this is one of those things, like you said, you forget where they are because you've blanked it from your mind. It's Knights Rev? Maybe? Oh, where are you, Scion? Oh, it's Demon Spawn. I always forget. I always do that. Spawn, yeah. I think I did that in the last video too. So here's the deal. I will say this one thing about him, and spoiler alert, just recorded a video with Bront, and I did bring this up in Bront as a positive. But this guy is so basement, not because he's terrible, though. You get him for free a year into the game, and if you need this champion a year into the game, which is your 270-day login, and then you get shards for the bird Cleopteryx, and then you get him 3 months after that 4-month excursion. This is what you get. You get a kit that if enemies under block active, block buffs, or heal cannot decrease his champion's turn meter. Ooh, that's so needed. He increases his attack and crit damage after he attacks. Let me say that again, in case you missed that at the home. The old folks' home where you're playing Raid. Attack removes all debuffs from this champion. Good. Attacks all enemies. Places an increased crit rate crit damage and attack afterwards for 1 turn. So after attacking. What? Why?
The crazy thing is, it's 1 turn, right? So you use this. He does the move, then he gets the stuff that would have made this good, and then you can't go back and use it again because even book this is on a 3-turn cooldown. So it's only those buffs are only lasting 1 more turn. So you got to go use the A2 or the A1 when you'd wish you could just use that A3 again. Yeah, he's comedy. He's so bad.
So now I did defend him under one premise. In Chimera, the trials have a lot of different situationals, and it's hard to find champions that have this. This guy legitimately has 4 different trials in his kit. The block buffs is a trial. The heal reduction is a trial. The block active skills is one of the on the Viper form, that's one of the hardest champions. So it's good to have a trial that can negate that champion, that form's thing. And then I think the increased attack with something else is good. So he would be okay for trials. However, again, a year into the game, you're probably still not going to use him because he's not going to do enough damage to satisfy what you really need, which is in Nightmare and further, which is just obscene damage. So this guy's going to be good for normal and up to maybe hard level Chimera. So we'll give him that little asterisk, but
like if
terrible.
You got him at 3 months, then he might help your Chimera.
That's and that's the whole thing. Could you imagine getting this guy at 3 months and suddenly you have an answer to the magic potion keep, the spirit potion keep, and you don't have to think about it? But at a year?
Yeah, crazy.
Oh, just burns my ass. Frost my ass. Whatever that does. It does something. Not happy. All right, what's your next one?
It's unbelievable that he doesn't apply the buffs before he attacks. I just want to say that one more time. Okay, we had to cut for a second because, my girl got buffed and she doesn't suck anymore. So we'll go to the Skinwalkers, and we work together to find someone absolutely awful. So let's just be honest. Both these bears are terrible, but the Ursine Ironhide, the brown one, at least we got some AoE decrease attack. Like we've got something going on with that. You're gonna have to book it out, have fun with that, but at least that's something. The Ursine Icecrusher, the white boy over here, the polar bear, this is a true disaster. They got the similar passive. All damage received from allies by crits is reduced. Very niche for basically anything but PvP content, and you're not going to use him. And then there's a very minor turn meter fill when someone lands a non-crit. I mean, that's probably the only good thing here. He also has an all battles HP aura. That's fine, but wow. The only kind of interesting thing he's got is a not very hard-hitting on a defense-based champion AoE on that A2. AoE decrease crit rate. It does have the synergy with the passive to have more turn meter cycling, but who cares about cycling this guy's turns, right? He has the tiniest chance you've ever heard of on the A1 of placing block active skills, which is nice, but it's single target and it's a 10% chance. So if you want this to have any shot in heck, that's 6 books right there. Combine it with this god-awful A2, that is another 6 books. You're putting 12 books in this guy to make him not the worst champion in the game, and then he's still, like, mediocre? There's no shot. So I just think, big picture, you're never going to invest in him, so you're dealing with this very mediocre A2, very unnecessary, kind of okay synergy with the passive on a 4-turn cooldown, and an unusable A1. This might as well say nothing. 10%, it's not going to help you. How many times are you going to run your faction wars over and over waiting for that to work?
Yeah,
too many.
Absolutely. This is a champion you don't want to invest books in, and you don't want to use him without books because he's terrible. They're both the bears. It's too bad because I thought the bears kind of looked neat. They were kind of neat for when they came out. I thought it was a neat idea. It was part of the big the battle pass that shall not be named because they can never have a battle pass since. But these were the 2 of the champions in there, and they are terrible.
I'll tell you, I was really hyped about that. So that battle pass was what? It was like May or June 2020, so early days. Back then, if you look at the Skinwalkers, we didn't have so many of these. Basically, all the Skinwalkers were like part bull or part deer, and that was it. So this was a real departure that I found really exciting, that we have bears all of a sudden. Now we've got Fane, who's that was it basically.
He's right before Ursine.
And we didn't have Scabrius. So I'm looking at it. We had Basher, we had that top row, everyone but Scabrius, and that's really it. No, Basher was the only void.
Oh, and Steel Skull.
And Steel Skull. So then Steel Skull was like a little pig monster guy. And then that was it. So then we got these bears. And it's like, God damn, we got bears? Let's go. Yeah. No, let's not go.
Terrible. All right. My third one, and I've got a theme. Yeah. And that's login champions. And actually, we said I was leaving. Why was I leaving? Because it's right here. It's Baba Yaga. It's Yaga the Uninspirable. This guy at 60 days is objectively a worse poisoner than Kale, the starter rare. He is terrible, and nobody's been able to explain why he's terrible. I think they buffed him. Probably they did. The raid is very infamous of not being able to buff when they buff, but he attacks one enemy on his A3 on a 5-turn cooldown until you put 5 whopping books with 0 added benefit on a champion. He doesn't do a lot of damage to just get more weak damage till you get that cooldown. And all it does is attack one enemy and increases against targets under poison debuffs. Spoiler alert, it still is weak. It still hits like a little girl, like a slap fight. Terrible. And then you've got this A2 4-turn cooldown, no cooldown break. You have to put in another 6 books to get the buff chance to a whopping 75% chance. and it attacks one enemy 2 times. Well, Kale has that putting 4 poisons on the same cooldown. So it's like, qu'est-ce que c'est? What the 4? And then, of course, you got this 40% book to 50% chance of placing a poison. The reality is, epic books. Yeah, go ahead.
I feel like he's there as like a trick. Like people don't know the game well enough on day 6, and they're like, well, they're giving him to us. He must be good. Like, what are the chances if you play? You could play really casually, and then maybe you could find the slightest use for him. But if you play at all daily, even if you don't pick Kale as a starter, that you don't get Kale, that you don't get Petrifia Rockroot, that you don't get Frozen Banshee, or you don't pull another epic or legendary that's 100 times better than this. I mean, it's slim to none. So it's just he was designed to guard the vault.
Hell, you could use the monk, right? Like you could use
the
literally
Outlaw Monk.
Outlaw Monk is everyone's favorite. 5% poison.
How would you not? How would you not use Outlaw Monk over him? You can skill Outlook Monk for free instead of the encyclopedia it takes for Yaga.
Yeah, and now when the game first started, definitely not as many poisoners, and that's a fair statement. But this was still terrible. You still had Kale. Kale's kit hasn't changed, and now it's just.
Well,
it's
also no one
worse.
said he has to be the 60-day login reward forever.
Yeah,
you could put someone else there that wasn't power crept and isn't useless.
I would even if Frozen Banshee were the 60-day login, I'd be like, yes, please.
Yeah.
Because you would think 60 days, maybe you don't need a poisoner, but if you do,
yeah,
there she is.
Or worst case, you got a chicken. Like at least there's a win-win. I guess.
Well, you get a chicken here. I guess you get a 14. You get a 14.
Yeah, my bad.
All right, what's your next one?
Okay, I want to save my last guy for last because I really don't like him for a few different reasons. This one's really simple. We don't have to waste too much time. Let's go to Lizardmen. Let's go to Drake. Drake's bad.
Oh yeah, Drake.
Yeah. So bad multipliers. That's kind of my theme. Attack through the roof, man. For an epic, almost 1500 base attack sounds so good. You know, unless they buff Bicephus.
They did. Still not great, but better.
Back in the day. But back in the day, Bicephus had what 1800 attack, and it's so exciting when you pull him, and you're like, he could not hit weaker. Drake hasn't been buffed, please.
No. And even if he has, still terrible.
Yeah. No, he hits so weak. And then this first move sounds kind of cool, kind of like a Rotos action or something, extra turn. He's not getting an extra turn, folks. He's not hitting hard enough. It's a very weird thing that would have to happen. This A2, again, single target. It's always a crit. He's an attack-based guy. He's going to be built with crit. That doesn't help you except for in the earliest of early games. And then finally, again, look at that, single target. This one's probably the most exciting because it's got a big version decreased speed with some decreased accuracy. But this is kind of very funny to me because it says, if it's critical, so you do need to build him with crit then. So the A2 literally is nonsense. So they're saying you need to build him with crit. It's not like if the A2 was a passive, and say if he has less than 50% HP, all his attacks are critical, then maybe we're onto something. Because then the A3, you got that nice synergy. You can change how you build him. He becomes really easy early game. But it's saying the A2 is saying, hey, you don't need to build this guy with crit. And the A3 is saying, hey, you got to build this guy with crit. And that's it. And I hate him. And I think he's about as bad as he could be. You needed 4 of him to get Skullord Vargile or whatever his name is back in our day. So that's something. But he sucks. He also kind of looks cool. So this is a disappointing again for me.
Yeah, he is objectively terrible. He's always been objectively terrible. My biggest pet peeve in this game with the design of theirs is when their kits actively refute each other, and they know how to do it. They know how to do it properly. I'm going to show you a little. We talked about gems on your channel. It's one I didn't mention, but we did talk about stock rising and stock lowering, or ones. Actually, we talked about free to play with no investment with Bronton. You'll see that video on his channel at some point. But here's a person that you can get as a fusion because she's part of the Rosin fusion. Now, I'm not saying build her out to 60, but you get her for free. And look at this. Extra 30% crit. Extra 30% crit. How novel that if you're going to do something about crit, it's on all the skills. So you can actually build them out. Unlike Drake, where they're like, just do what you want. Crit and you can't use the A3 or don't, if you don't crit, you can use the A2. It's stupid. Absolutely ridiculous. You got me angry. Yeah. God damn you, Plarium.
Yeah. No, I got to say, just shout out to Bloodfeather. She was always like one of my favorites. Not that she's special, but you can always fuse her for free. Really, really easy. And I used her on my Orc clearance because she's so easy to build.
At 50.
Before they had before free gear removal, she's got solid multipliers. She's very easy to build. So you can put fairly mediocre gear, and she can be your 5th unit. Whereas like Drake will never, ever, ever, ever just bring Saurus in a stun set. You'll never use Drake. There's no world.
It's terrible. Absolutely. You like bring Jizzo, you get him for Yizzo, you get him for free, and he's got a counter
And
attack. He's defense based, got a shield, right? Like,
his
oh
name's awesome.
yeah, and his name's awesome.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, I think I start calling him Yizzo because otherwise it sounds like I'm gonna get demonetized. So
I'm gonna keep calling him Jizzo
Jizzo.
for sure.
All right. I got my fourth one, and this is a new addition only because the fifth one it angers me so much I have to leave him for last.
Okay.
But my fourth one is when I pulled on my free-to-play account this morning. Imagine getting a Sacred Shard from your Clan Boss chest on Nightmares. This doesn't happen all the time. This is a big moment.
Yeah.
Free-to-play. This is my moment. I haven't pulled a Legendary on my free-to-play account. I think I'm the last content creator without
Really?
a Legendary except for Alice. And my epics have not been much better, but I'm like, here we go. I just picked up a lure. I'm on a roll. Here we go. And instead, from Ogre and Tribes, I get Grimskin.
Oh, great.
And I couldn't be more angry at, first of all, how freaking lazy they were at making this champion. Hey, I got an idea. Let's make a fat troll and pour oil and blood on him. That's got to be a thing.
You got to go to Chatterbones.
Oh,
he's literally just Chatterbones who got a little dirty. They're identical. It's not even a reskin.
I mean, he's got hair
in their arms.
It's so terrible. Crazy. It's so terrible. But unlike Shatterbones, Grimskin has an 80% chance of removing one random buff from each target on an AoE that's defensive based, and it doesn't. I've made a video on this guy. And I put him in crazy gear, and this can hit good. But again, we're talking about, like, if I put my Harima gear on this champion, I could name 1,000 champions. If you put that gear, it's very good gear. If I put that gear on this champion, it's going to be good. The reality is this guy's absolutely terrible. His A2 has a provoke, and we already talked about this. At least it's unlike Bergoth. It starts at 50% on a 4-turn cooldown. But again, an A2 provoke with so many A1 provokes out there nowadays. Husk has an A1 provoke. Tarshan has an A1 provoke. This is not good. This is a 70% chance and has a 40% chance of placing a provoke on all enemies if the first one's landed. So now we've got nested RNG for this guy to be a full hard lockdown, a hard CC.
Do the skill ups, will they affect both those chances? Because then at least you got a solid shot.
I'm pretty sure it's 7. I think it's 70-60. Yes, I'm pretty sure it is. If you're putting 5 books into them.
For a skill that's not that good, why is it so conditional? They're acting like this is such a crazy skill, and it's really, maybe back then it was. I don't know, because he's super OG. Maybe that's why. And
decreased speed is okay. 40% isn't okay, but again, if you're looking at okay, this champ is just objectively bad. It's got AoEs that don't hit very well. Yeah, you can use him in a stun set or something, or a provoke set, and make all this happen. But it's the AoE removes a ramp, has an 80% chance, 100% chance. It just, all of it is underwhelming. And the reason I had to put him on this list is because I pulled him this morning, and it really just.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. He's very bad. He's not bad enough for this list, but I get it. You just pulled him. It hurts.
I just pulled him. It hurts my soul.
Hurts. Yeah. And that design it's so sad. Like those man-eater reskins, it's so sad. I know you guys, like, some people can afford to spend money, a lot of money on these games, but when the 3 characters are man-eater, Grimskin, and Shatterbones, it's really shocking to me. It's like a lot to stomach. Shall we continue to my last one?
Your final one.
So basically, you see the theme on like 3 out of my 5. Basically, he looks so cool, and he's so bad. Go to Fearmonger in the Bannerlords.
Oh, yes.
The Mass Fearmonger, the Spirit. Nothing about this kit is worthy of being an epic, like, at all. Like, really, really not at all. He looks like Jason. He looks so cool in those Friday the 13th vibes. He's probably one of the cooler looking epics in the game for me personally. If you just go through this, everything comes with the weirdest condition ever. Everything can get a little better if there's fear or true fear, and he has no way of putting that out. Like, no reliable way himself of doing it. So he needs to bring someone to enable him, and he's not good enough to bring someone to enable him. He doesn't warrant that. He doesn't deserve that. So, he's got this interesting thing on the passive, which kind of gets you going, right? This would get the people going. Taste of Despair fills this champion's turn meter by 50% whenever his HP drops below 20. First off, how often is your HP drop below 20? But also, it's on a 6-turn cooldown. You got to book this thing just to get to 4 turns. This could be no cooldown, and it still wouldn't be that special.
Yeah.
Like I guess 50%, but he doesn't hit hard enough to make it that special. And like I said, all the other skills are like if the target's under fear or true fear, then now he's ignoring defense. Now he's doing this. The passive should be like when he's hit, he puts out a true fear or something
Yeah.
like that. It's just a big hot mess. I don't like him at
Yeah.
all, and he looks fantastic, and he's so bad. He really is such one of the bigger L's in the game, I would say.
Yeah. And anytime you see the reduces cooldown if or anything, if this person kills an enemy, typically they can't kill enemies. I don't know what it is. Raid's like, we're going to give you this because we know you can't kill anyone. He's got terrible multipliers. He has the true fear, but it's so weird because it's like attacks one enemy, has a booked 100% if if this happens, it can put on a second one.
So it's just like it's a mess. Like
yeah. And then once you use the A2, then you get to use the A3, maybe. You know?
So it's like you're hitting on the A2, but they're saying, hey, this A2 is not going to hit hard enough to really do anything. So then you got to make sure you land that thing and then go to the A3. And it's basically you need to bring like a Mashald or someone with AoE True Fear to make him work. And at that point, if you have a hero like that, why are you even looking at masked frickin' Fearmonger?
Yeah, it's terrible. And he is a cool looking chap. I do agree. Real cool Halloween vibes. He's even got a skull tied to the back there. I don't know where he must have picked that up because we know he didn't kill that person himself. That didn't happen. Not in this game. No. So absolutely. All right. So my final one is one that just pisses me off so much because he's a void. A void epics. Void epics are hard to get a hold of. And when you finally get a hold of a void epic, you get a hold of Tolf the Maimed. Who is Tolf the Embarrassing. Though I will say you can solo Shogun with him. It takes ridiculous stupid gear, and it takes a 5-star blessing, and it takes a whole lot of stuff you don't need. It's more of a meme than anything. But he is terrible. So he's decreased the values of all enemy shields by 50% at the start of every turn, then increases his champion's max HP by the same amount. That sounds so amazing. Don't be fooled. Because here attacks one enemy when not attacking bosses, inflicts pure damage, which sounds amazing. Anyone who's played any sort of MMO before is like, pure damage. That's like the best damage. And he decreases the target's HP to 50%. So I don't even know why they put pure damage in there. He takes half their life. He puts it to 50%. So if you've already hit that champion, he might hit for 1%. From 51% health to 50% health. Wow, that's great. Inflicts damage based on this champion's max HP instead on bosses, and places a stun. If they've already got less than 50%, it does. And this based on this champion's max HP and puts a stun on. And just does that if it's bosses. But here's the kicker: it can't be critical. So if you're fighting a boss, it really doesn't matter because it can't be critical, and it hits like a wet noodle. And on top of it, this one can't be critical either. So you can't even be like, oh, I'll get him to 50%, then I'll take him out with my A1. No, he hits for nothing. It is stupid. He can heal himself, and that's wonderful for the meme of the Shogun strat, which I'll do a video eventually on. You can check. Scratch has a wonderful video on it. But this is just terrible. He's my least favorite champion. He can burn in hell. He's an epic. If I get this epic void on my free to play, if that's the first void I get, I might quit. Watcher, I'm back because I might quit Raid forever.
I didn't know you left. This is it's kind of what I was complaining about with Defiled Sinner, right? He's got that cool AoE enemy max HP, but it's capped and it can't crit, and it's kind of the single target version. The fact that it ties into his A1 as well is nutty. I think they think this passive is it's not bad, but I think they think it's so OP or something that they had to tame the rest of the kit, and I think they made a mistake. You got to say, there's no bigger slap in the face than like you pull him and it could have been Seer and it's Tolf the Maimed.
Right? Oh, God, it would be terrible. So those are my 5. Do you any honorable mentions you want to throw out there?
I'll throw out one I pulled this weekend. I really regret pulling my 2 sacred shards that I had. I pulled Arndulf, who's not bad enough for this list, but I hate his design. I hate his 2D decal chains on him. He's a magic rarity. There. Right in the middle, that gorgeous guy. He looks really stupid. He's probably got, sorry if anyone watching is named Arndulf, but probably the stupidest name I've ever heard in my goddamn life. He's clearly not bad enough for this list. But, AoE reflect damage, not the biggest thing in the world. It really isn't. It's so niche. If we go to this A2, a nice little AoE with Weaken. Again, not the kind of guy you're going to book. He's not bad enough for this list, but I almost did what you did with Grimskin with this, just because it's like, he's not good. and bullying him
Yeah.
doesn't feel nice.
No.
And yeah, I don't like the laziness. He's got that Minecraft hair and he's got the decal chains on him. It's not my kind of thing. Not my cup of tea.
Though I do want to mention his provoke is probably still better than some of the champions we've talked about today.
Totally, yeah, no, like he will be on my faction wars team. Yeah, this is why I didn't make the list. But yeah, it just hurts. Like that's the problem with any gotcha game. I'm not blaming Raid for this at all, but like you pull him and like it could have been Geomancer, and that's how you always feel, and that's why these guys are just such L's on our lists.
Absolutely. My honorable mention goes to Mistress of Hymns, which especially hurts because 6 years ago I felt like she was really a gem, a hidden gem. The reality is she's got to revive with the Veil. It only puts HP. It doesn't put turn meter. It doesn't do anything else. It just has HP. It's on a 6-turn cooldown until you get a book into her. And then she heals based on damage. So here's a champion who you want high HP to be able to survive, but then you also need her to have high attack to do what she's supposed to do.
Yeah.
And it's such a terrible design flaw in her. And the reason why she's not on the list, the reason I pulled her off the list, even though she was on last time, is first of all, I'm still angry about Grimskin. And secondly, she is 2 random revivers. So, I mean, anytime you can revive someone in PvE, where maybe the turn meter thing isn't as much of an issue, it's still better than not having them alive. So I'll give her that, but absolutely terrible overall.
Yeah, I think a general theme with a lot of these guys, first off, she's so stat hungry. Oh my God. You're going to have to build her fast. You're going to have to build her tanky. And now they're saying you need basically 100% crit and to deal decent damage from the A1. Yeah. That's insane. But a theme is like that they should, if someone was to do a once over of all these epic kits and be like, this is an underwhelming kit, all they have to do is like remove all these book conditions to make the cooldowns acceptable. If all of a sudden it's like, yeah, Mistress Hymns is kind of underwhelming, but hey, it's already a 3-turn cooldown or it's already a 5-turn cooldown. Yeah. You don't have to worry about that. Then they're kind of like a plug and play epic. So even if you're using the dollar store version of the nice stuff, at least you can use them right out of the box. Absolutely. Whereas these guys, like you're never going to put books in them. So you're never going to get any benefit. So you're going to get a bad character in their worst state. And it's a little stinky.
Yeah, I agree. Awesome. Well, there we have it. The absolute, some of the worst of the worst epics of Raid Shadow Legends.
Let us all know your worst. Who do we miss?
Comments down below. Is there a reason that one of these shouldn't be on the list? Or is there one we missed that you think is your absolute hate? I mean, Bushi might be on your list. I don't know. That might be a good one. Along with his
Missionary still
twin Missionary, who is also stinky, but he's got a scar, so he's a one-eyed stinky. I'm sure there's plenty more. Let us know in the comments down below.
One-eyed stinky was my nickname in high school.
Well, you stop picking your butt and then putting in your eye. That would be... Anyway, all right. Thank you for coming here twice now, Fastidious. I absolutely appreciate it. We will do this again, my friend. Any final thoughts before we say goodbye to the people at home?
All I can really say is I hope you recorded the audio this time because I'm not doing it a third.
If I didn't, I'm getting J Gigs to voice over it. In fact, I might do it anyway. He might let him voice over me. That'd be even more fun. Awesome. Thanks a lot for coming.
It's a pleasure. Thanks for having me on, Cap.
Yeah. All right. For those of you at home, as always, please be kind, be safe, and we'll see you in the next video.